Hey, good morning, Lorene and Mike. All right, good morning, traders. Today is April 7th, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I moderate the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Hey, thank you, everybody out there in digital land, podcast land, cyber land, whatever you want to call it. Appreciate that. Thank you for the kind comments. Thank you for the subscription. Thank you for following me. I am so pleased you find value in my content. It means a lot to me. All right. With that said, my SPY pivot this morning, 511.10. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab Five still in daily downtrends. All made lower highs and lower lows. Closing below bearish traps, below falling 17 EMAs. SPY closed with a 2-hour downtrend and a 10-minute downtrend. Now, on that note, I see a lot of indices on support. Okay? Remember, we don't make money, we don't make consistent profits, okay, picking tops and bottoms. Okay? Our bread and butter is made with the trend. The trend is our holy grail. All right? The 10-minute uptrend over VWAP and the 10-minute downtrend under VWAP. Okay? I just want to say that before I say, hey, we're near a support area. Okay? So we could see a bounce. I'm not saying we're going all the way back to 610, all right? But we could see a bounce. I'm just saying that, all right? So we'll see what happens here, all right? So just saying we're kind of near support. I'm expecting a few uptrends to maybe manifest today. I already got one in the pre-market. We'll see what happens, all right? All right, with that said, all right, everybody's in downtrends, all right? Almost all of them are in bearish mode or bearish territory. Gold in an uptrend. All right, gold and silver made lower highs and lower lows, closing below bearish traps and under their 17 EMA. Silver's in a downtrend, by the way. All right, USO made a lower high and a lower low, closing below bearish trap underneath the 17 EMA. UNG made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap below the 17 EMA. Almost everything's below the 17. U.S. dollar index, including the dollar, all right? U.S. dollar index in a downtrend, closed near the 102.89 area. SPY max pain for today, that's just the options that expired today. Okay, is 523. It's a long ways off, but I think we could get there, all right? With a little red rubber school ball bounce, we could get there. With a put-to-call ratio of 1.2 puts to each call that expires today at 4:15. All right, that's when SPY options close at 4:15. All right, that's like last call. All right, so let's go take a look at some charts today. All right, let's just look at the 10-minute. All right, 10-minute. Move this out of the way. Don't need it. All right, see that little yellow line? All right, happened at the very end of the day. See those last two red candles? They squashed this pullback right there, okay? So 10-minute downtrend, the yellow line is underneath the white line right here, and you can see all the red dots. 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Let me slide this over some. All right, so big gap down, closing almost near 500. All right, so there's SPY on the 10 minutes. Look at the 2-hour. A little too far. All right, 2-hour in a downtrend. All right, see the candles and the 3 EMA. That's the yellow line. Again, underneath the white line and the falling red dots. Okay, 2-hour downtrend. Let's take a look at the daily chart. All right, daily chart. All right, now if we fill this in, all right, traders, fill in your candles sometimes, all right. And when I mean fill them in, let me just trash that out and let me just get the box. All right, when I mean fill them in, right where we closed, all right, the day before, all right. So we traded from that low, you know, down to this low right here. Okay, now if you back out, you're going to see that's probably the biggest red candle at the end of a move. Possibly at the end of a move, all right? Possibly, all right? I'm not calling tops and bottoms, all right? But that is a big red candle at support. 500 is support. Can they spike it? Absolutely, all right? But I'm just letting you know, like, that's a big red candle, possibly ending the move, all right? We'll see where they go today, all right? But I'm just saying that's a big red candle, all right? On the other hand, all right, we got news. News comes and goes, all right? And right now we got the tariff news, all right? And we're all dealing with the fallout and the panic from the tariff news, all right? Now, I don't know if they're looking for capitulation. That was a nice day there for some capitulation. I didn't really see what I wanted to see. But so, I mean, that may not be the bottom because I haven't seen what I'm looking to see. I'm looking for that capitulation, that panic where everybody just sells everything. Let me just tell you right now, okay? The same cats that are causing this sell-off are going to be the same ones buying it all back up. All right? Believe it or not, okay? This is going to blow your mind. Everybody that's selling this today will be the same ones buying it tomorrow. All right? Just to understand that, okay? This is a totally manipulated market. All right? Now, there'll be some retail sellers, all right? But as far as the institutions like BlackRock, you know, all the Goldman Sachs, all the big boys, the ones doing this, creating the fear, the FOMO, you know, oh, I better get out here, okay? They're the same ones that are going to be buying it all right back up, all right? So keep an eye on the sectors, all right? Technology's been really beaten up, all right? And I'm saying AI is not done. It's in its infancy. It's just getting started. All right? So keep an eye on those chip stocks and all those AI software companies. All right? Because they're bound to be some really good winners in there. All right? As soon as this thing turns around and we find a bottom. All right? And anything can happen. All right? Canada could come in tomorrow or today and say, you know what? You know, we'll cancel ours if you cancel yours. Referring to tariffs, all right? Same thing with China. They could come in and say, you know what? You know, we'll cancel ours if you cancel yours. There's a lot of them out there that could happen. And Trump may take it, that deal. I think that's what he wants. I don't know. He's not worried about the stock market, that's for sure. All right, what he's trying to do is to get America on an equal playing field. All right, that's it. We'll see. All right, They just got started. Okay, maybe they wait for the FOMO, the capitulation to come in, and then they make that announcement. That's a possibility too. All right, but this is a big red candle. I gotta say, looks like it's at the end of the move. I'm not calling this the bottom. All right, but 480 is a magic number, so is 500. All right, we did hit 480 overnight, and we did hit 500, and we went a little bit past 500. I wouldn't doubt it if we pulled back all the way back up to 500. We'll see what happens. All right, so there's SPY on the daily chart. All right, we're in a downtrend. We made lower lows, all right, lower highs and lower lows on the weekly chart. Let's take this off. All right. On the weekly chart, okay, you can see we took out this low and we took out this low. See the lows below the 17? Okay. So we're making lower lows, all right? Not lower highs yet, but lower lows, okay? Below the 17, all right? See these two right here. So we're making lower lows. That puts us in a downtrend on the weekly chart. On the monthly chart, okay, it's a tall order all the way down here, 411, all right? Could we get there? I don't know. If it's a 3-candle move, all right, we could get there. See how the candles grow in size? There's a possibility we knock out the monthly uptrend too. I don't know. We'll see. Got some major support, or minor support right here on the monthly chart. See that peak between the valley that precedes the valley? So we got some support right there, 457. All right. If we head down today, again, if we head down today, 450 would be my target. Actually, 474, right about anywhere between 460 and 475 would be my target for today. We'll see what happens. All right, so there's 10-minute chart there. Let's go take a look at the game plan. All right. On the game plan, and I know we're way below the game plan right now, okay? All right, there it is. All right, SPY pivot, 5-11-10. I like 4 days till expiration, Friday options, all right? I like 11 days till expiration, Friday options. I like $2 to $5 out of the money. They're cheaper, all right? And they offer less risk. All right, you don't get the movement that you would on an in-the-money option. All right, when you got an in-the-money option, you got almost 90 to 100% delta. All right, so you're going to get the penny for penny price action. Okay, but you better have with big candles like we've been seeing, you better have the direction right, or one 10-minute candle could set you back, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in just one 10-minute candle on the wrong side. So be careful out there. All right, the VIX is high and stuff's dropping out of the sky. All right, so SPY 10-minute uptrend. Okay, over 514.65. Okay, that's well underneath max pain. All right, that's my green erases red entry. All right, on the downside. All right, price below 505.20. That's my green erases. That's my red erase. It's my red erases green entry on the downside. Okay, you can see we're already down below that. All right, so neither one of these may come into play today. Okay, now in that case, all right, when we happen to waffle around in between, all right, the green line and the red line, we often trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. We will do the same thing today, all right? Because you can see we're all the way underneath here. More than likely, we will favor the downside 10-minute downtrends under VWAP, all right? But we won't be afraid of taking 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. Okay, so there's the SPY game plan. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ. All right, QQQ pivot for today, 426.90. All right, red erases green under. See, we're already below it, 422.75. Okay, watch the highs and lows. Okay, if the bears fail to make a lower low, all right, the bulls are going to be inspired to make a higher high. All right, so that'll be your opportunity, kind of a clue to watch for that 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, right? Same thing goes on the reverse side. If the bulls fail to make a higher high, okay, the bears will be inspired to make a lower low, all right? So watch for those 10-minute downtrends under VWAP, all right? This is on the 10-minute chart, Okay, so again, for options, I like same ones. All right, 4 days till expiration, Friday options. 11 days till expiration, Friday options. Again, I like them $2 to $5 out of the money. I particularly like the multiples of 5, so like 455, 450, 445, because they got more open interest, all right? More open interest on Friday and more open interest on the nickel, all right? On the 5, the increment of 5, the multiple of 5 right there. Okay, bullish green erases red. Don't think we'll see it, but there's a possibility. Over 433, that's the bullish green erases red entry right up there. All right, so there's the QQQ game plan. Let's go take a look at QQQ on the daily chart. Okay, for that we have to switch to a different one. All right, you can see right here, biggest red candle, you know, looking back, I don't know, 100, 200 days. Okay, lower high, lower low, just like everybody got the same candle. Lower high, lower low, even gap down. I think they all got the gap down too. Lower high, lower low, closing under bearish traps, okay, under falling 17s, okay, underneath all-time high anchored VWAPs. That's the pink line. You can see here, price is closing, yeah, all the way down here in the bottom of quadrant 1. That's bearish, all right? If that's not bearish enough, we're already trading well below that, all right? It's definitely bearish. Making lower highs, making lower lows. QQQ, daily chart, all right? I'm still looking for that capitulation. We could see it going into 450 today. We'll see what happens, all right? All right, keep your head on a swivel. Remember, the VIX is high and volatility is high, all right? So just watch. Play the trend. Stick with the trend, all right? Calling tops and bottoms never consistently made me any money, all right? I made my money. Consistent profits came from trends, all right? And you go into the other two rooms, they'll say the same darn thing, all right? They make profits playing patterns with trends. They see an uptrend, they look for the pattern to fill in, and bingo, they got themselves a trade. Same thing happens here, all right? We're looking for trends, all right? Calling tops and bottoms never made me consistent profits, all right? Stick with the trends. All right, so there's QQQ, that's bearish. Take a look at SPY real quick. So you can see, yeah, it's bearish too. See, SPY, quadrant 1, big ugly red candle. Yeah, biggest one you ever seen, right? Okay, there you go. Okay, downtrend. All right, that's a daily chart. All right, let's take a look at IWM. All right, lower high, lower low. Closing, like I said, they all got the same candle, all right? Closing below the bearish trap, right? Below the falling 17, right? Okay, below the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's the pink line, right? Okay, below the uptrend line, it's bearish. It's down here in quadrant 1. That's bearish. SPY's bearish. IWM, that's Russell 2000, that's bearish. NASDAQ 100, that's a QQQ, all right? Bearish. All right, let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Yeah, Diamond Dow. Even Diamond Dow is bearish. Okay, lower high, lower low. Again, just like the others. Under the trap, under the 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the uptrend line, under the midpoint, in quadrant 1, bearish and already gapping down this morning. All right, there's Diamond Dow. All right, let's take a look at the last one, FNGA. Okay, when this thing turns around, all right, usually when technology turns around, the whole market turns around. Okay, because it takes tech. Tech will pretty much lead us out of every recession. Tech will probably lead us out of every downtrend, more than likely. All right, it will be tech. All right, it will almost certainly be tech. All right, it's not going to be healthcare. All right, it's not going to be consumer cyclicals. All right, it's not going to be consumer staples. it most assuredly will be more than likely technology. All right, that's the one you want to watch. When that one gets the bullish engulfing, all right, that's when you want to get ready to strike. All right, FNGA, same deal. Lower high, lower low, under the trap, under the 17, no surprise, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, quadrant 1, yes, it's bearish as well. All right, let's take a look at, what do we want to go visit next? Hey, technicals, take a look at the technicals. Okay, we're in the oversold zone all day yesterday. I think we're down to like 0.16 at 1.16, 0.17. All right, we are in the oversold zone. Okay, we camped out there all day. We never left. I think we never got off the mat. You know, if you were in the boxing ring and you got knocked out, yeah, this is flatlined right there on the bottom of the mat, right there, with the referee doing the count. All right, so there's T2122. That tells me T2123 is probably going to be red from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. When this is down here in the oversold zone, flat, never giving you a higher high, not even on a 15-minute chart, good idea, good chance this is red from beginning to end. Okay, bearish trap, 3 days, never filled that bearish trap, okay, from over here. And we got another bearish trap, all right, bearish gap, all right, took 3 days, they never filled the gap, that's weakness. Another bearish gap, never filled it, huge bearish gap, all right, selling red from the beginning to the end, just like the day before, all right. These things usually come in packs of threes, 1, 2, so we could get a day down, another down day today, all right, and that may be a pause after that, all right. So they usually come in stacks of threes, so we'll see what happens. So there's T2123, 15-minute chart. We're not filling any bearish gaps. We're not making any higher highs. We're way underneath the falling 200 SMA. Okay, we're bearish. All right, T2123, 3 bar. All right, 3 more red candle bars right here underneath the fading 200 SMA. Well underneath, yep, 2 prior all-time highs right here and the all-time high way up there. Okay, we're bearish. Okay, not filling any bearish gaps, not making any higher highs. Okay, it's a clue. All right, we're still bearish, a little bit over bearish, but we'll see what happens. All right, it's T2123, FNGU or FNGA, that's new ticker. Okay, red from the beginning to the end and most of the pre-market, post-market. Okay, nothing. Move down and over to the left, over to the right. Okay, move down and over to the right. Those are bear flags. All right, bear flag. You linger in the bear flag too long, and guess what happens? Usually leads to another leg or wave to the low side. We'll see what happens. All right, again, not filling any bearish gaps and not making any higher highs. No signs of bulls anywheres. All right, FNGA, 15-minute chart. Let's look at a few sectors. Prepare to be disappointed. All right, XLE, first one. All right, was looking good up here in the bullish territory. Look what 2 days did. Lower high, lower low. Again, I'll bet all the sectors got the same candle. Okay, below the bearish trap, below the 17, below the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. Below downtrend line 1, downtrend line 2, underneath the midpoint, bottom of quadrant 1, and even gapping down more today. Okay, that's bearish. All right, we're making lower lows. That's XLE. Let's take a look at USO. All right, USO, guess what? Same deal. Lower high, lower low, under the trap, under the 17, under the uptrend line, under the 3-year high anchored VWAP, down here quadrant 1. Yep, that's bearish too. Okay, UNG, natural gas. Okay, lower high, lower low, closing. Yep, underneath a bearish trap, underneath a flat 17, over the uptrend line, over the 12-month high anchored VWAP. All right, showing a little juice right there, not like the others. All right, but still underneath. That's neutral. UNG, USO, bearish. UNG, neutral. Okay, let's take a look at silver and gold. Start off with gold, lower high, lower low, closing underneath a bearish cross, underneath a rising 17, underneath a prior all-time high anchored VWAP. Actually, just underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, right there. Okay, up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish up there. Let's take a look at SLV. All right, SLV, lower high, lower low, closing under bearish trap, underneath 17, underneath. That's a 12-year high anchored VWAP, and it also doubles as a 6-month high anchored VWAP. Underneath that 12-year high anchored VWAP, we got a low. We made a lower low. We're no longer in an uptrend. We're in a downtrend. Okay. All right. Down here, almost breaking into the lower third. Still neutral. Let me just say they get down here in the lower third. That makes silver bearish. All right. So we just did energy. We just did precious metals. Let's take a peek at SMH. All right. Lower high, lower low, underneath falling trap, okay, bearish trap, underneath falling 17, underneath, yeah, all-time high anchored VWAP, all right, SMH, downtrend, bearish, all right. Okay, see how they've got some right here. They got support right there on the semiconductors. They got diagonal support. They broke that a while ago. Let's just point out some diagonal support. Right there. See, they went a candle past that diagonal support. See right there? All I'm doing is tapping these lows together. Okay, see how they got a spike? This is the rubber band candle. So like I said, we could see energy from rubber band candles, from support, sling us back up later today or tomorrow. We'll see what happens. That's SMH, bearish downtrend right now. Even if they sling us back up, we're still in a downtrend right here, okay? Not till we make higher highs can we negate that or that bearish outlook, all right? Okay, it's down here, all right? Okay, we may get a bounce being on support, 500, 480. Okay, we may see a bounce. Just saying. We'll see what happens. Is SMH. All right, let's take a look at the sibling to SMH. It's XLK. Yep. Okay, so there's a measured move right here. From here to here and here to here. Okay, measured move right there. Okay. Got a lower high, lower low, closing under the trap, under the 17, under all-time high anchored VWAP, under the uptrend line. Okay, quadrant 1, that's bearish. Okay, right on. See this? Peak, minor support right there. Okay, right on minor support. That's what I'm saying. We may see, if not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe turn around Tuesday, all right? Maybe they go a little further today, kind of scare the bejesus out of you, get the capitulation going, and then turn around Tuesday, maybe they come back. We'll see, all right? I don't want to get ahead of myself, all right? Don't even have a 10-minute uptrend yet, all right? So there's XLK, all right? Bearish in a downtrend, all right? Let's take a look at XLF. Okay, lower high, lower low, closing, okay? We were bullish up here in quadrant 4. Imagine what 2 days can do for you and a couple tariffs. All right, so XLF down here in the lower third, now bearish. All right, and gapping down. All right, so there's XLF on the daily chart. Okay, again, lower high, lower low, below the trap, below the 17, below the all-time high anchored VWAP. In the lower third now, so that's bearish. Okay, it's XLF. Let's take a look at last one, IYT. All right, lower high, lower low, underneath, bearish trap, underneath, 17, falling 17, underneath, all-time high anchored VWAP. Bottom of quadrant 1, actually stretching out the bottom of quadrant 1. Okay, that's bearish. Here's a low, all right, from 6 months ago. They made a lower low, all right? It's a downtrend, okay? Double top, lower high, lower low, downtrend, bearish down here in quadrant 1. All right, that's IYT. Okay, let's take a look at the economic package, see what we got going on there. Okay, max pain for today. Today's the 7th, right here. Max pain is 523. Oh, that's so bright. That's why I can't have white charts. It's too bright. 523 max pain, and put to call ratio about 1.2 puts, roughly, to each call. All right. So not much there for a put squeeze. All right. Max pain 523. I don't know if we'll even get near it today. I don't even know if we'll break the pivot. All right. Dollar's in a downtrend, making lower highs. See the lower low. Another lower high. Another lower low. I'd like to see the dollar come down here and see that breakup candle low. I'd like to see them come down and test that. All right. This looks like an exhaustion candle to me. Big red candle right into, yeah, see the top of this? That support area. So we'll see what happens. Okay, closed yesterday. Okay, that's a Sunday. Right about 102.89, 102.87. Okay, dollar still in a downtrend. All right. Let's take a look at earnings reports for Monday. Okay, you can see Levi Strauss, Greenbrier, Dave & Buster's Entertainment, okay, Red Cat Holdings, okay, a lot of familiar names. Nothing here is going to move the markets for us, okay? Not like the news of some tariffs, okay? Nothing like that, okay? So there's earnings calendar for Monday. Tuesday, again, more familiar names. Nothing's going to move the markets there for us. Okay, Constellation Brands, 31 billion. Again, more familiar names, but nothing here that's going to really rock and roll the markets for us. Nothing to rescue the markets. Okay, CarMax, 11 billion. Walgreen Boots. Isn't that their second time? They still haven't figured out where the P&L is. Anyways, all right. Again, more familiar names. Nothing here that could rescue the markets. Friday. What is this? Earnings again? JP Morgan Chase. Look at that. Banks are reporting again. They're starting a new round of earnings. All right, Friday's going to be a main event. All right, look at this. Over about $500 billion there for JP Morgan Chase. They're going to report Friday morning. Wells Fargo, $200 billion. They're going to report Friday morning. BlackRock, $127 billion. Bank of New York Mellon, $52 billion. All right. Main event, Friday. Big numbers coming out from, the financials. All right, so let's take a look at Friday's the main event. No question about that. See what we got for today. Monday, March 31st. Somehow I think I'm on the wrong week. Okay, April 7th. All right, nothing happening today. All right, nothing happening today. Tuesday. All right, NFIB Small Business Optimism Index at 6. All right, if you're looking for optimism for your small business, I mean, forget about tariffs. All right, I guess they're having an index. All right, it's going to come out tomorrow at 6 in the morning. All right, might as well just put it at 3. I mean, it's nothing really going to be surprising. All right, tariffs just killed the market. MBA mortgage applications, 7 o'clock. Wholesale inventories, 10. Petroleum report, 10:30. FOMC minutes, all right, 2 p.m., all right. That could be a main event too, all right. Hearing them react over the tariffs, all right. CPI, oh, this is a main event too. CPI 8:30. So this is the main event for the economic calendar. All right. For earnings, it's Friday. CPI 8:30 on Thursday. Okay, before the market opens. Jobless claims 8:30. All right. Natural gas report 10:30, and that's it for that day. Friday, PPI final demand 8:30. Consumer sentiment at 10. A rig count at 1, just like normal. Okay, I'm going to take questions in the room. If not, I'm going to render my video so everybody out there in podcast land can get it. All right. I see a couple of any consideration about buying calls with the VIX so elevated. I would want to see a bullish engulfing on the daily chart, or maybe the 2-hour or the 4-hour. All right. JB, I hope that makes sense. Before I even think about it, all right. Remember, okay. We make our money. You want consistent profits, okay. You can buy calls, all right, but you're really trying to pick tops and bottoms, all right. We'll play a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. That's for certain. I don't mind buying calls for that. All right. But if you're speaking of the daily chart, okay, I would like to see at least a 2 or a 4-hour uptrend. All right. Or bullish engulfing with a follow through candle before I think about saying, oh, this might be the bottom or this might be the top. All right. Does that make sense, JB? I make my profits off of trends. All right. Consistent profits off of trends. Right now, everything's in a downtrend. All right. But let me just say this. It came down hard and fast. When they come down hard and fast, they tend to bounce like a red rubber school ball. Okay. So let's wait till they hit, the deck. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, you can do what you want, but if I see a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, I'll be buying some calls. All right, especially if I see the red rubber band candle break. All right, so yes, I will be playing a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. If I see one develop and I see one take off, where's SPY support? You're in support. 480, 500 is SPY support. Okay? And you're going to see more at 457. Between 475 and 460. Mel, 475, 460. Okay? Yeah, those puts are for 18 days from now. So whatever 18 days, yeah, for the 25th. Yes. Mel, I'm going to be buying and selling a lot of stuff. All right, I can't. Just know this, okay? If price is dropping, I'll be, buying puts. All right, and selling into weakness. I'll be selling my puts into weakness. I can't do that. I have so much I'm moving around. I can't call it out every time. All right. If it's dropping, I'll be taking profit. Just know this, Mel. If I got puts and they're long and price is dropping, John will be taking profit. Okay, it's a given every time. You don't even have to ask me. John's going to be taking profit. All right, if I got calls and price is moving up, all right, I'll be taking profit in a string every time. Every time. All right. So wherever you see price move, just know John's taking profit. Okay. Is there a limit down price on SPY? No, there's no limit. Okay, it could go to 380. Yep, 480, 500, and 478. All right, 475 down to 460. Okay. John, while looking at put to call ratio, you mentioned the squeeze. Is there a number you look for? Yeah, over 1.5. Fred, I look for like over 1.5 for a squeeze. And good morning, Robert. I saw 480 overnight on the SPY. All right, overnight, it was down there 482. And that's it right there. All right. So I want to say good morning to JW, Rally, Aman, Lorraine, and I welcomed Rod. And good morning, Fred and Alpha Dog Robert. Yep. Rickster and everybody else. All right, guys. Looks like I got all the questions. Okay, so I will render my video. I'll see you guys in 35 minutes and we'll open up the markets.